Here to weigh in on what the midterm losses for Republicans could mean for gun control is NRA President Colonel Oliver North. Colonel North also has a new documentary series all about American heroes, which we're going to get to in a little bit. But first, Colonel North, great to have you on the show today, sir. Thanks very much for being here.
John, glad I could make it. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to you too, Colonel. All right, what is the NRA expecting now that Democrats officially have control of the House? Are they going to try to make this 1994 all over again with sweeping assault weapons bans and draconian gun control proposals?
Well, look, first of all, there's a president who's already pointed two Supreme Court justices who believe the Second Amendment is an individual right. So it's not going to get very far, but it's very clear to me that what we have in Congress now is a majority that believes not in gun control. They believe in disarming America. Yeah. That's where we're headed in this. Californians are already talking that way because they've found that the draconian measures they've already got in place can't stop bad people from doing bad things. And so their goal is to ban firearms. The only way to ban firearms is to confiscate them. And that is to ignore the Second Amendment to the Constitution. So what are we going to do about it? The National Rifle Association of America is intent, and I'm helping make this happen, doubling our size between now and the 2020 election. Because we get the wrong president and we get enough people who leave the Supreme Court, you could end up with repealing the Second Amendment, as one of the retired justices has already advocated.
Right.
So what are we going to do about it? We're going to continue to steadfastly oppose the stupidity of these kinds of measures. They're not gun control measures. It's disarming America. And when you've got 100 million firearms owners in America and only 5.5 million are members of the NRA, we can grow a lot.
Yeah. Now, Colonel, look, I agree with you. I'm absolutely chilled by what I'm seeing from some Democrats, particularly Congressman Eric Swalwell, a far-left Democrat from California. Now, he started a Twitter feud a couple of days ago. I was actually embroiled in the middle of this when he said that the government would use its nuclear weapons in a hypothetical war against Second Amendment supporters who refused to give up their firearms. I couldn't believe I read this from a sitting member of Congress. Well, he later said it was sarcasm. I actually found it quite tyrannical. But is this what we're up against in today's Democratic Party? Because I happen to believe you're right, Colonel. They're for full disarmament and a repeal of the Second Amendment. Will the NRA have enough allies on the Republican side, in the White House, in the Senate, and on the court to thwart these efforts by the far-left members like Swalwell and Ocasio-Cortez? Because these people, to me, are downright un-American.
Well, we've never had this kind of movement alive and well in America. It is alive and well, and it's clearly the number of people who got elected by the far left, by the big money that came out of New York with Bloomberg and his buddies, the billionaire, what I call the oligarchs.
Yes. Who
put money into all of these, as I call, Disarm America movements and candidates. Look, we've never had this kind of thing in Congress before. The good news is we have a president who's going to veto that kind of legislation, and thank God we keep control of the U.S. Senate. But the reality of it is, this movement is not going away until enough Americans stand up and say, stop it. The bottom line of it is, we don't need more gun laws in America. Right. We need the laws that are already on the books to be enforced. What we need is a better mental health system. What we need is an instant check system that actually works the right way. Those are the kinds of things we've advocated all along. The National Rifle Association is not part of the problem. The problem is bad people doing bad things in sufficient numbers that they've now got a movement behind this Disarm America plan. And my hope is what we're going to do is find enough elected officials who will use common sense instead of trying to do away with one of our 10 rights under the Bill of Rights.
Yeah, you know, Colonel, I say it on the show all the time. I was NYPD, the most draconian gun laws in the U.S., some of them anyway, and we were still picking up illegal guns every night, but we had law-abiding citizens falling victim because they were disarmed. It turned my stomach, made me a really ardent supporter of the Second Amendment. All right, Colonel, I want to move on and talk about your new documentary series on NRA TV. Good friends of mine over there. It's called Oliver North's American Heroes. Let's watch a clip. You have the clip of Colonel North's series?
Why am I not afraid? Because I love these people. When you really love someone, fear is no longer a big priority. You're with us. You know, it means God hasn't forgotten us. The world can know. We count. Came to the edge of the tank, and I said, this is what I'm going to do. You guys give me cover, I'm going to run. And I thought, there's no way I'm going to live through this. It wasn't fatalistic. It was just kind of logical. You're not going to make it on this one. But damn, that kid's still there. I got to do something. And I just felt it's now or never.
Really compelling trailer, Colonel. Tell us about the series and where our viewers can find it.
Sure. Well, this is our very first of our first season. Dave Eubank is the fellow you were just looking at. One of the bravest people I've ever met in my life. I covered him during the battle for Mosul out there in the Middle East. He started as a U.S. Army Ranger, then a Special Forces officer. He became a missionary in Burma, created an organization called Free Burma Rangers as a missionary. And they defend themselves and protect themselves against the oppressive Burmese government, now called Myanmar. But the bottom line of what he's done, both in Burma and in the Middle East, is to help people who have no other way of getting help. The definition of a hero is a person who puts himself at risk for the benefit of others. And that's what Dave Eubank has been doing for the last 40 years. This is a remarkable human being, the kind of person who ought to be an encouragement to the rest of us. You're never going to see his story up on the so-called mainstream media because Dave Eubank is a Christian. He's a God-fearing man. He's unashamed to say so. He stood there in the middle of one of those gunfights and prayed, and then went out and engaged the enemy. I look at that kind of person as a model of Christian compassion, of the kind of thing we ought to do for one another. We got it up just before Thanksgiving. If there's anybody we ought to be thankful for, it's Dave Eubank and the other American heroes you're going to see on this show.
I couldn't agree more, Colonel. Real quick, where can our viewers find the series?
Go to nratv.org or .com, either one, on your computer. Click on NRA TV, click on series, and you'll see my ugly mug come up, and that's where this first show is showing.
All right, Colonel Oliver North, President of the National Rifle Association. Thanks for your time, Colonel. Have a great Thanksgiving. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more breaking news coverage, exclusive interviews, and great videos, click over here to our YouTube channel and subscribe. And don't forget to download the free Newsmax TV app. Newsmax TV, it's real news for real people.